All right. So good.
Right.
So thank you, Mark, for joining us for today and the exciting topic. I talked to many agents, and even this morning, I had a Zoom call with a whole bunch of them, and we're excited to hear about this. So, well, this is going to be recorded and then it's going to be posted to my Facebook, and we're going to broadcast to many other agents after. So they're going to see this presentation. Thank you for joining for this session of learning. Yeah, I think it's very, very essential and useful for real estate agent to use these techniques that you're going to tell us. So without further ado, why don't you present yourself and tell us what is your name, what you do, and how you can help real estate agents.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for the invitation. I will just ask for permission to share my screen,
Sure.
please. And in the meantime, I'll do a brief introduction. So I would like to apologize to cat lovers, but I'm a dog person and my name is Mark Brodsky. So I actually started my business 15 years ago because I had an old Cocker Spaniel named Marley, and I felt badly leaving him alone for 8 hours. So I wanted to do something that would allow me to work from home, and digital marketing was that thing. Now, as it turned out, Marley slept for pretty much like 23 hours a day, but I still felt better having him by my side, even if he was just snoring. So he has been gone for a decade, but over the past 10 years, I've actually fostered dogs before they went to their forever home, as well as dog sat for friends. And actually, over the holidays, I adopted my own dog, an 11-year-old Cocker Spaniel named Buster. But down to business. So the first year was actually a struggle. I knew how to create an email newsletter, but I didn't know how to run a business. And the thing that really saved me was a 10-week course from the province that taught entrepreneurs everything we needed to know about running a business, from bookkeeping to networking, public speaking, business plans. And that was really what got me going. And I think over the past 15 years, it's really given me insight into all the hats we wear. Um, so I've grown the team to 4 people, and I think to me one of the best things I figured out was what I do best, what I enjoy doing, and what makes sense to outsource. So I do understand what you're facing. Now, I like to say that you're realtors by trade, but marketers by necessity. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about email and figure out if it's something that you really want to do. Our clients are top producers in real estate, becoming specialists in different markets. And it's our job to keep them top of mind with their client base with minimal effort on their part. And actually, we've refined our process over the last 15 years to the point where I had a client sign off on a newsletter from a swim up bar in Mexico. Um, but thank you for listening, and let's get into why you're here today. Sorry, Ashton, if you could just allow me to share my screen, please. I've got some slides.
So how can we do that? You have to help me here.
Should be under share screen, and I think allow multiple people to share.
Mhm.
I'm certainly happy to do it without the
No, no,
slides, but
I think you got it.
there we go. Thank you. All right. So we're going to get into it, but first, there's a picture of Marley.
All right.
He's been gone for about 13 years. This was Buster when he arrived, and this was Buster after his haircut. So completely different dog. And he is in fact sleeping beside me right now, as I do have a tag. But our topic today is 3 ways to get more people to open your emails.
Great.
Now, we'll obviously we'll talk about 3 different ways. And what I would recommend is that you are using some kind of software to be sending out your emails. So everything we talk about today, you can apply to any piece of software, but it is important that you're using something other than like a Yahoo or a Gmail. So the 3 things we'll talk about: what it means to be a recognized sender, how to write a compelling subject line, and ways to get more people to see it on social media. So what I mean by recognized sender is, how do people know you best? Now, for many realtors, it's going to be common sense. It is your first and your last name. Some people are members of teams. Some people may have changed their name after getting married. So it's really important to figure out how people know you. And I also recommend that when you set up these systems, it's really clear who the email's from and your actual email address. So to give you an example, if you're using a third party or an assistant, um, I think by default, when somebody opens a program, they type in their own name. You want the emails to be coming from you. And my first choice for your email address is an email coming from your own website, maybe next to your brokerage. And third would be a free email client like a Gmail or a Yahoo. Um, just because if people don't immediately know who an email is from, they're going to delete it because it feels like spam. As well, for anybody who might be on a team, I think it's important to have your name in the email as well. So to give you an example, I work with a team out in Oakville called the Heisey, McDermott and Associates. So people know Heather Heisey, they know Leslie McDermott. So when the email comes from them, it's from Heisey, McDermott and Associates. Now, when it comes to their associates, they know Macy versus Leslie and Heather. So for us, we found that when we started using Macy's name, we found 15% more people would open the email simply because they knew who it was from. So again, really important to take a look. I will say, I think the worst offenders are politicians and across the board and nonprofits, because often they'll be coming from somebody within the nonprofit, and you recognize more the Canadian Heart Foundation or the Canadian Cancer Society versus their head of fundraising. So really important to get this right. And if you get it right the first time when you set it up, you don't need to worry about it. Number two is subject lines. Now, these are important because up to a third of people will open an email based on a subject line alone, which means you really have to pay attention to it. So what I like to do is after I've chosen the content, I look at the pieces of content and I think what what article will appeal to the broadest number of people, and that is what I lead with. And I will tell you, more often than not, it is going to be food related. And I can appreciate that real estate agents are highly trained professionals dealing with like $1 million transactions, but more people are going to open your email to find out about Toronto's best pasta than they will to find out about the average price of a townhouse. Now, you'll have like a handful of people that want to know the statistics, but again, more people are looking for information about an upcoming home show and or like Toronto's best brunch than than what prices are doing from month to month. It's important that your subject line be short. I would say maximum 40 characters. The reason is when somebody opens their phone or their email, anything more than that is not even going to show up. So you can write an amazing 100 character subject line. People are only going to see the first 30 or 40 characters. Again, I would say maximum 10 words, because even if people see all 10 words, chances are they're not going to read them. You have to grab them in the first 3 to 4 words. As well, you want to control what is called the pre-header text. So is anybody familiar with the term pre-header? Just
No.
have an awkward pause here. It's a little bit jargony, but you've probably actually seen it in action. So sample email from a yoga studio. The subject line is acro yoga at 10,000 feet. The pre-header is aspire to higher ground. So what this means is when you're using like a CRM or a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, when you're typing in your subject line, you also have an opportunity to type in the pre-header. And the reason it's important is that if you don't type in a pre-header, somebody's email client will pull in the first line of text. And more often than not, it's, are you having trouble reading this email? Click here to view it in a browser. And that's not going to get anybody to open your email. So again, also pay attention next time you're checking your email. Take a look at what the pre-headers are that people are using. I'm going to give a couple of examples of some bad subject lines. And I'm not naming names, but they are real subject lines. February newsletter. Now, we know what month it is. And the term newsletter indicates to me that it's going to be something a little bit longer. Now, the problem with this is that it is really boring. It gives no insight into what somebody might get when they open the email. And you know that whoever sent this out in January, the subject line was January newsletter. This month it's going to be March newsletter. And it just makes it really, really easy to delete. So if you were hoping to get the fewest number of people opening your email, this is the subject line for you. Almost as bad, February real estate update. Again, we know what month it is. I know that you're a real estate agent. You don't need to tell me that. Give me a reason to open the email. And I would be remiss if I did not give you some better examples. So, Teal's Best Brunch, 19 local winter activities. The reason I like this is, so I mentioned people love food. The top two things that people will click on for food, brunch and Italian food. I found this across the board that if you can get to like Toronto's best pizza, Toronto's best pasta, or certainly wherever you're working, that will get people to open your email. And the reason that these sites, a site like a BlogTO or a Foodism, feature these so frequently is because that's what people are interested in. Again, we've got what $1 million buys across Canada and 10 backslash trends. So again, real estate related, but people really enjoy these kinds of articles because we're always curious, right? There's a big difference between what $1 million will buy in St. John's versus Toronto versus Calgary versus Vancouver. And again, they tend to be really short, just sort of pictures and descriptions. And best options for Winterlicious. So we got food in there and some 2023 market predictions. So a little bit more interesting than market news. And we all know it's impossible to accurately predict what's going to happen in the market. Because I know if I asked you at this time last year what you predicted for 2022, I feel like not many people would have suggested 8 consecutive interest rate increases by the Bank of Canada. So again, people like predictions. And finally, you can really increase your reach by using social media. So one way is when you're creating your email, again, I know MailChimp and a Constant Contact will offer this. Usually if a brokerage has a program or your CRM, you click a box and these kind of buttons appear, if you can see. So it's a Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Sometimes all it takes is a bit of a nudge in the introduction saying if somebody in your network would be interested in this content, please share it. And somebody clicks one of these buttons and it's shared to their social media. And again, it doesn't take a lot of people to do this to have a big impact. The average adult on Facebook has about 250 friends. If you could get one person to do this every month, you've increased your reach potentially by about 3,000 people. And all it takes is the tick of a box and a little bit of a nudge in the introduction. Now, the other thing you can do is share it on your own social media. And you might say, well, why would I want to do this? And the answer is not everybody on your mailing list is going to open your email. In fact, the average open rate for our real estate email is about 22%, which means that about 75 to 78% of the people you're mailing may not actually open your email. But some of them may be connected to you on social media, and that's where they want to get their news. And on the flip side, you're going to be connected to people on social media who are not on your mailing list. So again, a MailChimp and a Constant Contact will automate this. You send out your email, you connect Facebook and LinkedIn to this software, and it will publish your newsletter. Again, an easy, free way to get more people to open your email. Great. So I don't know, Ashley, you told me I had about 20 minutes, and I'm happy to answer questions. But I actually have a question for people on the call. The National Association of Realtors did a survey to find out how many buyers remembered their agent's name after a year. Does anybody want to guess how many people actually remembered?
Can I throw a number? Let's say maybe 5%.
Okay, that is a little bit low. Does anybody want to take another guess? See, if I were in a room in front of people, I could make awkward eye contact. So I will tell you, 30%. 30% of buyers were able to remember their agent's name after a year, which means that 70% forgot it. And I think for realtors, especially whose income depends on repeat business and referrals, that's a lot of money left on the table. And that's the reason that our clients invest in our services because they keep their contacts engaged um, while they get to work. Because I know that realtors put a lot of time, energy, and resources into their work, and it's important to figure out what you do best. So I'm happy to have a conversation. Um, got a QR code here if anybody wants to scan it and book a call. And I'm happy to answer questions.
So, Mark, I have a question. So, you're suggesting to repeat the same thing that, let's say, you send an email, you copy the content, less and more, and put it into social media, and that,
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
and that would increase the effectiveness of it.
Yes, yeah, you will definitely get more people taking a look at your email that way. And you can even include a link on social media saying, click here to read the newsletter, click here to sign up. And it's a good way to also to grow your mailing list.
I was under assumption that when you put a posting on Facebook, everybody would see it, which is not true. So is there any way to increase that number of viewers in Facebook? I know Facebook has its own algorithmic and doesn't bring it up to all the audience.
Right. So there are a couple of free ways. The one way is if you're posting something genuinely interesting and people start connecting with it, like commenting, sharing, or liking, Facebook will show it to more people. The other thing I suggest is if you post your newsletter or other content on your Facebook business page, and then you can share it to your personal profile. That way, you will definitely get more people seeing it. Because Facebook, the algorithm, it shows content posted on a personal profile to more people than from a business page. Um, the other thing that I suggest usually is Facebook still allows us to advertise to people who have liked our page. So for 20 or $25, you can reach almost everybody that already likes your page. So it's just, I use the boost button. And especially for an original piece of content like a newsletter, it just means that more people who already know you will see the content. And if they engage with it, there's a higher chance they'll see your next piece of content, whether or not you advertise.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
You are working in social media and digital marketing for the last 10 years, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So it was 15 in January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
nice.
You are also exploring Instagram, TikTok, Google, correct?
Yes, I'm just going to stop the share. Yes, so half of our business is newsletters, and the other half is social media. So we do social media management, yeah, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Okay. And
Yeah.
another question I have here is, tell us about your services in a little bit more in details, your phone number, how people can reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so for our monthly newsletter service, I think the value we offer is that each newsletter for each client is different. So we do a client profile, and the content is unique to them. So we choose the content, we write the introduction, we do the layout. All our clients do is send us their listings and approve the proof. We send it to their database, and then we follow up with a report, letting them know how many people opened the email and what links they clicked on. And so the monthly fee for that is $247. Our social media management, we post at least a dozen times a month. Again, the content is unique to them. It's a mix of sort of real estate related, decor, and food. We also post holidays and market news as well as listings. And again, we can do that across channels for $297 a month. And if people are interested, we can also combine the service, and they can save about $50 a month, and it is $497.
And that includes content marketing, right? You write the contents for them.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So yeah, we search from a number of different sources.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
And some of the people I'm talking to, they said, well, it's not effective. If it's effective, I know it has to do with duration. You cannot just go in there, post something, and expect something to come back. So, what is the expectation that you can see that becomes more effective? Like, you cannot be there for a week, a month. How long do you suggest an ad or post continue being there?
Yes, no, that's a good question. I think, especially with social media, it's really hard to draw a line from A to B, from like a post to a transaction or a conversation. I think often what social media does is it really enhances your online reputation, because certainly when people look you up online, your social media is going to be part of what they see. And to see that you're posting great content and interacting with people really goes a long way to building that reputation of somebody who is engaged. Um, and again, engaging with people who leave comments, who send messages, engaging with other people who are posting, that also really helps become more effective, because people can tell when you're just throwing content onto Facebook or Instagram and just letting it sit there. So I think it is important to spend a few minutes every day and just, interact with people. Yeah, I would say you need to put the social in social media.
Absolutely. What kind of mistake I see many agents they do, they use social media as a billboard. Um,
Yes.
that doesn't work. It's supposed to be interaction. So that's where you see the effectiveness of social media. It's social media is not a billboard for advertising. So that's a mistake I see all the time done by the agents.
Yes, absolutely. If the only thing that people are posting are their listings, people are going to tune out. And the more often they scroll past a post, the lower the chances that that people are going to see their posts. It's also a good way to convey your personality. So I suggest people, post pictures of what you're doing, pets, children, if you're at a local landmark, or a local event, because people do business with you because they like you. And with I don't know, 65 to 70,000 licensed realtors in the GTA, like you really need to stand out. And it's going to be through your personality.
Mark, how people can reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can put it in the chat. But our website is mbdigitalcommunications.com.
And is there a phone number
I
they can
cannot
reach?
talk and type at the same time. And the number 416-275-7916.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Well, it
wonderful.
was a pleasure, Mark, to join us here and to help us understand what's going on with how we can effectively send emails. I think that's a very, very good point that you brought up. And personally, to start using them. Use Gmail all the time, but I think I have to rethink that strategy and do it properly the way you mentioned that. It was a great to have you here, and hopefully we can bring you back with another topic into our social media and posting as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm absolutely happy to come back.
Have a wonderful day, and thank
Okay.
you all the audience for joining us.
Okay. Thanks, Ashton. I will talk to you soon. Bye.